Hey, Crawlspacers, welcome to our ASM review show. It's been a minute. Hope you missed us. We're gonna come back full steams ahead with my friend Sarah. What's going on, Sarah?
Hey, how's it going, Brad?
Haven't seen you since the late 70s. How you been?
I've been busy with school. Oh my goodness, that's been kicking my butt. But new school year, let's go.
I know. LFG, girl.
Should get that on a shirt.
I know. It's probably, knowing Marvel, it probably is on a shirt. We've got Josh. What's going on, Josh?
Hey, I'm good. Been busy with my business, but it's been going really well.
How'd you do on that test? The last time we did a show, you took a test in the middle of the show. Did you do okay?
I passed.
Yeah, D means diploma, doesn't it?
A little bit higher than that, but yeah, I have my graduation October 22nd, so I'm going to officially have my very expensive piece of wall art degree.
And it's bachelor's, right?
Yeah.
Bachelor's in what?
Bachelor's of Science, major in psychology, minored in biology.
Well, there you go. Very cool. Very cool. Congrats. Let's see. We've got Christina. What's going on, Christina?
Oh, not much. Hi.
What's going on? I like the Ben Reilly hat you got on there. Looking cool. Are those Spider-Man headphones too? They look red.
They're pink, but I got a shirt on.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Nice. Very cool. Welcome. All right. Now, the next three guests you haven't seen since the late 70s. I made a joke with Sarah. It's been a long time since these three have been on our show. We've got a packed ASM review show. We've got a guy that reviews the Amazing Spider-Man title called Dark Mark. What's going on, Dark Mark?
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome back. Haven't seen you in a long time, sir.
I know. Well, it's always bad timing.
Are you outside?
I'm outside, yes.
You were quite literally in the dark.
He's been told that before. He wasn't just in his porch.
Yeah, my first time on the podcast, it was Spider Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And
What's
the
that
light
segment?
that I had was only behind me, and so I looked like a FBI witness protection person.
I remember that. You were backlit, like you were just ratting out on the Marvel mob. I think he was the original part of Gang War, in fact. Anyway, I'm happy to have you back, Mark.
I'm glad to be here.
Another person I haven't seen in a long time is Mike McNulty. What's going on, Mike?
Hello, it's good to be back. Josh, congratulations on your upcoming graduation.
Thank you.
Dark Mark, you appropriately look like a floating head of guilt with that dark shirt on.
He does.
So, I mean, and yeah, it's Sarah, Christina. Good to see you guys again. And yeah, Brad, same to you, Brad. Same, Brad. All right.
And you asked for him. You demanded him. You were like, where? Oh, where is my Spider Goblin? My mentor of spider knowledge. So we have the man, the myth, the legend, Tom DeFalco. No, I'm just kidding. JR, what's going on, JR? JR, wake up. It's been 2 months. You got to sleep. Welcome back, sir.
No.
And he's muted.
God, you're frozen? You're like an Osborne that's caught in a
He's still muted.
one of those frozen head deals at ASM.
Yeah, he's muted.
He's muted.
Hey,
JR, the mute
JR.
button. Click the unmute.
The unmute. Can I do it on my end? Nope, I can't. You got to do it on your end.
Oh, yes.
Oh, JR. Old man technology. Well, we have him for 50% of the broadcast. You just get to see him. He's not going to talk. Well, some people have asked for that.
There we go. You hear me?
Hey!
Yay!
Awesome.
Welcome, JR. How are you, buddy?
Well, older than I was the last time we talked.
What is this location? Are you in a secret lair? What is this?
No, the secret lair is downstairs. I'm actually upstairs in case.
Uh-oh.
In case what?
You can't, yeah.
I can't hear you, JR.
Now he can't hear me on that thing, on the phone.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, no.
You gotta trigger the. You gotta adjust. Go to the
I can give him
settings
some
and,
hand signals, but he wouldn't like to see what I held
Right.
up. There you are.
There we go.
I was trying to spare my wife having to listen to all you losers, but I guess she just have to endure it.
Oh, okay.
How we
Girl
doing?
like this, Jesus. Hey, did you get a haircut? You're looking good.
Well, yeah, I suppose. Unfortunately, they took too much of it. You
No,
know,
they didn't.
I mean,
You look
it's
great.
like I don't. Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Another couple of years of this, and I may, look like Brad Douglas, and I'm not so sure I can handle that.
You know, anytime you insult the bald
Ooh.
man, you lose a few follicles yourself. So look how much you're losing because of what you've done to me for 20 years.
I was about to say, if that's literal, then yeah, I guess that's really what's happened. Because otherwise, I would have had a full head of hair.
I'm sure that's exactly why. Okay. Let's see what we got in chat. We got Mr. Comics. Hey, Crawlspace. I graduate from AIT as an Army paralegal specialist this Thursday. It's been a long road, but I did it. Very good, Mr. Comics. Congrats, sir.
Very
Proud of you.
nice.
Thank you for your service. We got Zach in the house. Hey, Zach, what's going on? Where'd Josh get that sweatshirt? Says Gary in the Frozen.
From my girlfriend.
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, she's an enabler. Those are
Yeah.
the best.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Does she bake goods for you? Is she a baker, or does she make a nice meal also?
Well, yeah, but I can't taste. So like, it tastes great, sure, but.
Gary says, JR, hope all is well. Glad to see you back. They've missed you, JR.
Oh, really? Wow, you guys must have really been boring in the interim then.
Oh.
Man, if people are welcoming me back, I can't imagine how you guys must have sounded like these last few months.
Upon the horizon, welcome back, JR. Oh, good Lord, says Chi-Town.
Oh,
that
since
one's from Mark.
Chi-Town's here, I should have worn my Paul shirt, but I left that downstairs.
Hey, I'm
I
anxious
do
to hear,
like your shirt, though, JR.
I'm
Yeah.
anxious to hear about what you think of that Paul backup in 950, JR.
We'll have to wait till we get there, won't we?
Yeah.
Mhm.
We got Sarah's mom. It's been like a decade. Hey, y'all. All right. Are we ready, JR? You're leading us off.
Oh,
This
I am.
we're calling Spider-Man Goes on a Date. And he holds up a building, and the cover has nothing to do with the inside, right?
Yeah, he's never held up a building before, so this is like a really new cover.
All right, take me through this, JR.
All right. Amazing Spider-Man Legacy number 949. The intro page would have you believe that the sins of the Green Goblin have been destroyed once and for all, at least until Legacy issue 1000, if not before. So now we have, as we get into the story, we have met Ravencroft Nurse. Shay, the language skills go with age as well.
That's okay. Nobody remembers her last name anyway. So
I've never seen her. I don't know who she is.
Well, we have met Ravencroft nurse Shay Markin, who Peter has tried to date, but those dates keep getting ruined by Spider-Man business. And the third time has to be a charm, right? Right? Now, of course, Peter is very late. We haven't seen this, I don't know, except for like 200 and something times since the early 1960s. But Shay is there at the restaurant waiting for him, and she calls him out on his lateness and the black eye that he has, because off panel he ran into the new Stilt Man, and like Peter, I have absolutely no idea there was a new Stilt Man, but such that it is. Well, Peter uses the old Parker charm to tell her that while he can't tell her the details, he has a responsibility to other people's well-being. Well, she's not completely satisfied as she mentions that she showed up to work early so she could get all her other work at Ravencroft done, like putting a catheter into the rhino.
Oh,
and
Jesus Christ. God dang.
Cleaning up,
well,
and cleaning up the evacuation of bowels of the vulture, all that stuff that a good nurse has to do.
Healthcare does not pay enough for that.
Yeah, real nurses aren't paid enough for that, unfortunately.
Oh my God.
So, she says, well, I did all this work and showed up early because this was important to me. And I thought if you were attracted to me and this was important to you, you would make an effort to effing show up on time.
Mhm.
well, Peter's here, so now he can have his date, right? Well, no, because guess what? Peter sees Rhino and Screwball outside the window and tells Shay that he has to go. But rather than confronting them as Spider-Man, he runs out and confronts them as Peter Parker, telling them that they are screwing up his chance to have a date with a girl who smells nice. So I kind of wonder if his team up with Wolverine he's developing Wolverine's sense of smell, since that's one of the first things he says about, well, she smells nice, and then like her personality comes after the smell, because then she says, oh, she laughs easily as well. So, all right, okay, so now I have no idea what Screwball and Rhino were up to or where they were going, and I don't know if other readers do as well, unless it's just a TikTok thing. But they feel sympathy for Peter and decide to knock it off. Peter runs back into the restaurant. Shay is still there, and he says he wants to kiss her, and she lets him. Like any woman, obviously, with a poor self-image, who'll let a guy treat her like he has consistently done and still let him kiss her. So, and they have a nice date while Rhino and Screwball take a page from Kane's book and are sitting there watching them on their date.
Mm-hmm.
Are they on it?
I want to say that was the story, but there was no story. So
yeah, there was a story.
That's it.
Okay. What is your grade for this one, JR?
This came very close to personally offending me.
Oh, crap.
Very close. But I don't know that I can speak for the group of people that I'm offended for. So I'll just call this a D minus.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go from the top up there. Sarah, grade.
I gave it a C minus.
Josh?
D.
Mike?
I'll be generous and give it a C minus also.
Christina?
I think this is the lowest grade I've given a Amazing Spider-Man comic, a D.
Okay. Dark Mark?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there he is. Dark Mark, what's your grade, buddy? All right, I'm gonna give it. I wasn't offended by it. In fact, it made me like this girl more than I even knew who she was. So I'm gonna give it a C. It's a C. It's average. It's borderline a backup story in my opinion.
Yes.
It's a filler because Zeb Wells has to write 2 books a month. JR pros. All right, JR cons. No, I'm just kidding.
There is only one pro in this book, and that is the small bit of Ditko news that we get. Where there's a full page stating that Ditko is being honored as a Disney legend at D23, which was, I believe, back in August. So
yeah.
But it's hard to feel any sense of, isn't that nice? He genuinely deserves that recognition by co-creating the character and creating the look of one of the most significant figures in American popular culture ever. Because if he were alive, he'd act like some weird, ungrateful, bitter little asshat instead of acting even modestly honored or grateful. Sort of like Alan Moore if Ditko looked more like Cro-Magnon man.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's how he acted. Come on, that's how he acted.
Sure, well, okay. I mean,
he was a legend. He was a legend, but he just wasn't very nice to people. Okay.
Well, he wanted people to leave him alone. Is what it basically amounted to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He couldn't even take a compliment gracefully, from what I understand. So.
Dark Mark, grade on this one.
Oh
Dark
no.
Mark. Okay. So, JR, the Ditko thing is the only... Mark, you back?
He's trying.
Okay. JR, the Ditko thing is the only pro, the ad for Ditko and the Disney, that's your only pro. Okay, let's go around the horn. Unless you had something. Did you have something? That's a no. All right, Sarah. Or anybody got a pro, Sarah?
Yeah, I do. I really liked how Shay called Peter out for being late, and I liked how she explained, like, here's what I did to get prepared for this date today because it is important to me.
Absolutely.
That was a really great moment. And for Peter to, not that he doesn't understand, and she doesn't understand what he's got going on, but
I want to jump on Sarah's point here is a little bit because it kind of leads. It's kind of like Yeah, but it's to me, it's like, yeah, we've seen this kind of thing before, but at least Wells was at least attempting to kind of deconstruct what is pretty much a very common trope in Spider-Man comics, where he's always late for the date and he always has to make up excuses for it. So here she is calling him out on it, and he's basically, and of course his trying to give the answer like, oh, I can't tell you why I'm late because I don't want to, and he's like, well, so at least he's attempting to make something, lemons out of a lemonade here. I mean, again, out of something, basically out of this, cliche storm that we're getting, which this issue is, because it's like, as JR pointed out, we've seen this time and over and over again, and this is something that, well, it's the same, but it's trying to give it a reason to it. Like Wells is trying to basically, like I said, deconstruct the idea, because I guess the idea, because ever since One More Day happened, and because Marvel's been trying to go back to retain this idea that Spider-Man has to have a can't get his stuff together because of he being Spider-Man, particularly when it comes to his love and relationships. And so if you're going to do something like this, you might as well call attention to it and try to give a reason for why kind of call Peter on of like why he doesn't seem to work well. And so I think you give him an effort for this a little bit, not a whole lot, but at least he's here as Wells is kind of recognizing that this is a common thing, and also
that really
to do something with it.
In my opinion, is, I guess, I like to bear in JR. That felt different. Mm-hmm. We've seen Spider-Man stand girls up on dates before, including his wife.
Mm-hmm.
But this girl was like, you know what? Here's what I did. Here's the responsibility that I did to make our date. Mm-hmm. And I thought that goes to the Spider-Man theme. Was it great? Mm-hmm. Was it? And there's a twist of Spider-Man would go out and break up the fight, as opposed to Peter Parker, and that's a nice twist. Yeah. So I appreciate that Zeb is doing something a little bit different, even though I suspect we will not see this girl much after Zeb Wells leaves.
Probably not,
because that's the tendency of the new incoming writers. We had this with Wells. We don't see Gog. We don't see anything left over from the previous, much of it, except the Osborn thing. But when it comes to supporting cast stuff, we don't really see the continuation of what came before, what Steve, Stan, and John Romita left over. Not much left on the bone. Let me read an update from Mark. I'm resetting my computer to see if that helps. So Mark is having a little bit of internet trouble. Josh, you got any pros on this book before we move on?
I think the artwork was all right.
Yeah, I agree. The artwork wasn't bad. He does a good Spider-Man, but we don't see much Spider-Man in the book, which I don't think is. I like a little supporting cast, but he draws a good Spider-Man. I agree. The artwork's not bad. Mike, any pros?
Webpack.
I already said mine. I mean, because basically, again, like I do appreciate that Wells is trying to get, make something out of a common story, a story we've seen before a little bit. I mean, he's, it's an attempt to do so. I mean, it's like, and I do think, and like you said, I think piggyback off you, Brad, I do like the idea of Peter actually going out there and saying, hey, can you guys knock it off and, let me have this just once, please, kind of thing. So
upon the horizon, I agree. That is something that was continued from Spencer's run. Randy and Janice continued. That is, I'll give you that. Fair point. Fair point. That's pretty good. I like that. Christina, pros for you? All right, I'm ready to jump to JR's cons.
I'll make this.
Lord knows we'll be here till 10.
I'll make this quick. Yeah, pretty much what Mike was saying about Zeb Wells trying to do something different with it. It seems like it's the typical Parker look of him having to leave for a second to deal with like the bad guy or whatever, but it was a different twist on it, him trying to stop them. So
let's see. I asked chat for their grades. Let's scroll up here. We got Jeff gives it a D+. We got I saw some of these. Citrus gave it a C-. It was silly, but I liked the back and forth with Rhino and Screwball. Zach gave it a B-.
That's great.
I think Walter says, hey, JR, the pro is the pages didn't fall out of the book.
Thank you, Walter, because I couldn't think of another one.
Ditko's grumpy like JR. Let's see. I think that's all the grades that chat is telling me. Let's see. Mr. Comics gave it a C-. Yeah, Tevia says, except they never continued that Mephisto with Mayday story that they alluded to. Yeah, I don't think that one's coming back, my man.
Nope.
So, all right, JR.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to address a few comments here. Chi-Town, I do get the Pinky and the Brain reference, by the way. All right. Also, I do know what TikTok is. I even know what MySpace is. See, that's how hip I am. First of all, Spidey Dude, I don't know about experience with nursing yet, but I am less than a year from being officially able to collect Social Security. If I'm looking yellow tonight, no, that's just the background of the, that's just I'm in a different location today. Besides, if I was trying to look younger, I'd have worn a toupee. It's like, or I would have at least dyed what little hair is left. So I'm not trying. Anyway, we
need JR to do a TikTok dance. If you know what TikTok is, let's go get that gritty. Come on!
I have seen the Spidey dance, and I don't know that I could do. I don't know that I could.
He did a Spider-Man push-up and then missed 2 months worth of shows. I mean, we can't get the old man up and out.
Yeah, well, that's what my chiropractor though is for. So anyway, all right. Brad wanted me to do this issue, thinking that I could bring the funny.
Yeah, it's in a text. It's in a text about Spider-Man and dating.
But then again, he thought I could bring the funny in a story about a 7-year-old child who was the victim of a hit and run. For those of you who wonder what segments are out there in the lost archives of the podcast, that's one of them. Along with my rant about the TSA, that also is in the lost archives. And about a Polish guy who dressed as Spider-Man. That's in the lost archives as well. But anyway, but this is worse than any of those because but there's no story here. Okay? There is none. It's been a long time since I've been in the dating game. Although I assure you that my suave and debonair personality and my sheer masculine presence have made me deliriously successful.
Oh.
Here, hold on. I'll give you a call. No. Can I talk to your mother, please?
Yeah. Dang. Yeah.
Well, she's 81. I don't know if she could hear you.
Hey, girl, you up?
But under no circumstance, all right, under no circumstance could I see any man or any woman or man, if it's a gay relationship, or a person who considers themselves gender fluid. I cannot see anybody putting up with this bullshit. My wife has put up with me for a very long time. God knows why. But I'll be honest, God knows why. But I can assure you, if I showed up very late, the third time in a row, to something that she considered important, if she didn't file divorce papers, I wouldn't be sleeping on the couch, with the comfort of the air conditioner or heating in a fully stocked refrigerator. I would be sleeping out in the shed with my lawnmower, my snowblower, my wheelbarrow, and various other garden implements to keep me company at the mercy of the elements. The only type of people I can see putting up with this are someone like Mary Jane, who, for example, Conway retconned into knowing that she knew he was Spider-Man the whole time, or even someone like Deb Whitman, who had a poor self-image and probably would think she deserved to be treated that way. But even then, she had her limits. No, I mean, and Peter is not written like a character who, at least now he's not currently, who a woman would put up with this because she thinks he's worth it. He hasn't demonstrated that to this woman. Now, if he had, that'd be a different thing. Peter, I saw that you did this. I see what kind of person you are. You take care of your aunt, you do this, blah, 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 blah. You're a person I want to take it. You're a person I think is willing to be patient for, but not much longer.
But JR, you can believe a man can fly, climb walls, and swing through the city, but you won't forgive the ability of a woman to put up with some bullshit.
Well, because I haven't met one that would.
Preach it, brother. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah.
And first of all, I am going to admit, yes, I'm a guy whose favorite supervillain wears purple pointed booties and carries a purple purse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah,
that's my. But this story, you could get away with it 50 years ago. And I don't think this works anymore. This is a real tired old trope. And like I said, Peter hasn't demonstrated to be worth this woman's patience. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but she hasn't been written to have a personality yet. Mary, for example,
that's true. I barely remember this gal. Yeah.
Mary, exactly. Mary Jane had a personality long before she became Peter's girlfriend. Felicia Hardy had a personality well before Spider-Man started dating her. And even Deb Whitman, who I did like Deb Whitman, think she got a raw deal. Even Deb Whitman had a personality coming into the relationship. Betty Brant and Gwen were tropes. They weren't people. Marcy Kane was a Gwen Stacy retread, and let's not get started on Carly Cooper. So,
so the benefit of this show, JR, we actually have girls in the clubhouse. So I would like to hear their perspective of if someone showed up to a date late. Christina, would you put up? Granted, Peter Parker's hot, but Christina, what would you do? Would you put up with this?
No, I would not. I'm
right.
Somebody
JR's right.
Yeah, I'm somebody who won't take bullshit. So,
okay. Sarah, if someone showed up late for a date, would you put up with it 3 times or 2 times or whatever?
No, not more than once. No, absolutely not.
Here's the thing. First of all, JR, you're spot on. But second, it's actually worse than he described. Because remember how they first met. First, they first met because they were set up together by Mary Jane's aunt. So that's one thing. And then the first time when they got together, things were going on. He bailed on he decided to leave because I have an emergency, and he stiffed her with the check.
That's
right. So that's strike number 1. Second time these two somehow she decided to forgive him and go out on the second date. They went to some Chuck E. Cheese knockoff where basically it became Five Nights at Freddy's. And what happened? Peter disappeared, bailed on her while she was in danger, and let Spider-Man show up. And because obviously he didn't know, so that's strike number 2. It's like the guy, you never leave the woman, you never leave your date, in a state where she can't be, where they can't be protected. So that's number 2. So it's not just him showing up late; it's also those 2 things, and on top of that. So again, not only would she not, why would she accept why would she even stay? Why would Deshay even stay in the restaurant in the first place? Wait for him after he bails again, but why would she even agree to go out with him a third time? Yeah, it's like. So again, and then the other thing I want to get into is I know somebody said about the if we're going to cons, I know somebody said that the art was okay. You can kind of tell that while this artist is pretty decent, they were cutting a little bit of corners because there was like 3 pages in a row where you had the same panel layout, one right after the other.
Cut and paste.
Cut paste. I mean, it looks slightly different between each panel. And so there's and I remember I got in an argument with some folks about this, saying this is kind of lazy, and they're like, "Oh, how dare you say that?" It's like, well, no, it is, because so you're kind of cutting corners. They were cutting corners here because, again, we got to remember, Zeb Wells' last issue was supposed to have been the Green Goblin one, right?
Yeah. Right. So this is filler
end on it. Yeah. So this was literally filler, and so we just have to fill in. So
here's a theory. Let's do weird, crazy theories. ASM 950. I bet you they wanted to charge $10 for it. I bet you they wanted to put this story in the back of it.
Oh, that would fit.
Wouldn't that work? Not to do crazy conspiracy theories. Speaking of crazy conspiracy theories, the internet tried to destroy Dark Mark, but he's back. Oh, there he is. Mark, what's your grade?
Yeah. Chi-Town's been messing me up over here, so I think I got to take care of it.
What's your grade, sir?
B minus.
Whoa, all right. Okay. What'd you like about it?
Well, I mean, I don't think this is a long-term relationship for us here, but until we get MJ back.
You and your internet, I don't think it's very long at all.
No. I think that until we get MJ back, he does need to have some other, love interest and stuff. So Shay's not going to be a bad one for it. She's got a connection to Ravencroft.
I mean, really, do you really think we'll see her again before issue 60 or whatever?
No.
Absolutely.
No, but I think the potential, that's all we can go with is what we've got on the issue right now. And it looks like, that they're setting this up to be his next big interest. So.
For the next 4 issues. Yeah. What's your con, Mark? What do you got?
I don't know. I
feel like a backup to you? Really? That's what we've been talking about.
Oh, no. I remember. I hated the fact that he handled this as Peter Parker because that didn't make any sense. He still left her. The whole point of his decision was he was running out on her to be Spider-Man. So he just ran out on her to be Peter Parker. And why is that even different?
Well, I don't mind that. We've discussed it. I don't particularly mind that because we've seen him change into the Spider-Man suit. We often, that's something different than we've seen. I didn't mind that, but.
Oh, well, that's different. I'm just saying, why is it different for Shay? He walked out on her.
Yeah. Which is a legitimate.
Were you going to say, Sarah?
Yeah.
Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say the part that didn't make sense to me is how he runs out as Peter Parker and Screwball and Rhino decide to stop their fight all because of this date. Like, why do they care about Peter Parker? That made absolutely no sense to me. I'm like, sure, they would stop whatever they were fighting about because if they were fighting, there was a reason for it. We don't know what it is, but I didn't understand that.
All right, any other thoughts before we move on to Mark's ASM 950 review?
Yeah, I just want to add one thing about the, we do accept a certain amount of absurdity in comic books, but, but there's a difference between like a guy crawling on walls or a guy with flying on a glider with a purple purse. Those aren't real. We know those aren't real, but we don't know how they would really behave if they were. We've never seen a real Sandman. Okay. So he can do anything, but we know how real people behave. And we know how real people react. And this is why it rings so false, because this is not how a person would behave. So
going back to the beginnings of the Marvel Universe, that's what Stan Lee wanted. He wanted the heroes to be relatable with big problems. And this doesn't ring true about how people act with other people generally and relationships work. I get your point, Jar.
Especially the comeback when he comes back in and just basically goes, I want to kiss you. And then she just goes, okay. Like what? He could have at least said anything more than that.
Yeah. Well, it was like we only have a couple more pages before the letters pages. We might as well end it with a happy ending. We never get.
Well, it's also like, oh wait, we got to get this. We got to get to this before Zeb Wells if he leaves the book. It's like, oh wait, what? Oh, okay. Well, so it's like, yeah, it's a win, but as like we say, is she still going to be around when the next folks kind of take over? We don't know.
All right, Mark, you've got the monumental issue number 950. Out of curiosity, what was the first issue of Amazing for everyone on the panel? I know mine was ASM 178, the Bart Hamilton story. I got it in a 3-pack, along with issue 181 with the floating heads of villains, I think, and in a cemetery scene with Sal Buscema art. Sarah, do you remember your first ASM issue?
I remember the cover. I don't remember the number, so come back.
I can help you out. Let me see.
Okay.
What was on the cover?
Amazing Spider-Man, but it's a purple cover. I believe John Romita Jr. did it. He's sitting kind of crouching kind of creepily on like a chimney.
ASM volume 231, I think. Look it up for me. Help me out. 31 or 32, because I think that was around Straczynski, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because it was a takeoff of one of my favorite images of Romita in the rain, which is on Peter Parker Volume 2, Number 1, which was a variant cover. I love that image. Josh, first ASM issue?
Volume 3, Issue 1, right when he got his body back. And he's the famous swinging when he's holding his mask.
Mike, first ASM issue?
Well, let's see. One could be kind of a cheat because it was like a truncated version of the Man-Wolf story from Power Records. But the other one was
when he pulled when he pulls it off of his skin, that little thing.
The other one, I think the one I actually just read in like the comic shop and didn't actually purchase because I did a
burn stole it. Yeah,
I did a burn steal. Was when he was, I forgot the name of the issue, but it's when he was fighting the Trapster when he first got his cosmic powers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where he's just basically so that was like the whole start of that whole thing and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah.
JR, first issue of Amazing Spider-Man. What do you remember?
Well, it was either, I was trying to see which one came first here. Either Amazing, as far as what I remember, either the Amazing Spider-Man 100 or Spider-Man Annual number 8, which back then they were reprints. I saw that the annual came out December 71, but I couldn't find in time when Amazing 100 came out. But it was one of those two that I remember being my first.
You started on an anniversary issue, possibly. I think that's awesome. That's a beautiful looking cover in black with the heads around.
Actually, that's probably why, because I'm trying to think of when that would have come out, 71 maybe.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking if Gwen died in 72, right? So this would have been 70 or 71. That probably is what made me beg my mother to buy it.
Yeah.
Was that cover, probably.
Mark, what's your first Amazing issue that you remember?
Well, I had one in the late 70s that I picked up and with my allowance money, and my dad made me feel bad for wasting my money, and I gave it away to a friend. I couldn't tell you which one it is. Harry Osborn was in it. Green Goblin was in it, I'm pretty sure. But I picked it back up in high school, and it was the issue where Hobgoblin is all beat up, and he gives Peter Parker a pumpkin bomb that's poisoned. It's right before the wedding issues.
Oh.
Okay. JR, help me out with that issue number. Remember it?
Mm-hmm. Was that
24 hours to live or something?
That I think was either a Web of Spider. I think that was maybe like Web of Spider-Man 30 or something like that. It wasn't an amazing. I don't know. I honestly don't remember, but it was definitely a fill-in issue because the Hobgoblin. This was after Kingsley. Well, this was after Leeds appeared to have died, I think. But no, I don't quite remember what one that is.
Christina, what's your first issue of Amazing?
Well, I started reading Spider-Man right at the conclusion of Civil War. So the very first ASM I picked up would have been Volume 1, 539, with the back in black stuff with JMS. So.
Oh, that was good stuff.
Okay.
All right, Mark, 950 issues later, here we are with a split-face Spider-Man on the cover.
Let's hope my internet stays with us. All right. A long time ago, but still in our own galaxy, Mozambique to be exact, we start with a civic-minded kingpin who knows that the public education system has failed poor Alonzo, a.k.a. Lonnie, a.k.a. Tombstone. So he takes the time on his own vacation, mind you, to teach him a bit of science. He shows him a male lion coming into a new pride and killing cubs sired by a different male lion. Now, at this point, Brad, just to be thorough for our podcast here, I took the time to research this, and they do indeed go and kill cubs made by other male lions because it increases the onset of estrus in the lioness. In other words, it puts them in super horny heat mode, and that's why they can be assured that they will mate.
Mm-hmm.
So a little homage to Donovan from the past. Science! However, the point here is not to teach Tombstone the way to pick up chicks by killing their children, which, by the way, to your audience, not a good way.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yes.
Not the best technique, but rather sometimes you must be willing to kill even your own child to stay in power. That's our lesson for today.
Okay,
now, back to present day in New York, in the West Village, to be exact. At Randy's apartment, to be even more exact. And on the back of my page here, there we go. Peter is trying desperately to get in touch with his feelings. And Randy is just trying to get rid of him so that he can play doctor with Janice, who is hiding in his apartment. That's when we get the motif that runs throughout this issue, loose ends. Peter feels like he must be responsible for Randy getting shot.
Quick, what stood out to me on that, why is his spider sense not going off that there's a villain in the room? I mean, the spider sense.
The villain poses no threat.
There you go.
Whatever. All right, go ahead, Mark. That just bugged me. I don't know.
All right. Peter feels he must be responsible for Randy getting shot because, of course, he does. And since he has dealt with Tombstone yet, he figures that instead of just going out and fighting Tombstone, the best way to do it would be to make everybody think that he and Tombstone are working together. But is this just another loose end? Loose end or not, when Tombstone hears about it, it causes him to start looking at pictures of Peter Parker that he just happens to already have lying around on his dining room table. Jump to the Daily Bugle, where Robbie Robertson not only makes it clear that Peter doesn't fit in there anymore, despite the fact that it wouldn't have been very long in continuity that he was the head of the science division there at the Daily Bugle. But he also reveals that Janice, a.k.a. the Beetle, a.k.a. Tombstone's daughter, is hanging out at Randy's place. So Peter Parker decides to deal with this loose end by ambushing her as Spider-Man. But before we see what happens, we make a jump to Tombstone, who makes sure his crew knows he's going to get Spider-Man and choke him to death with his bare hands. But before we can see that, we jump to Alphabet City, which sounds like a bad DC city name. But it isn't, because I looked it up. And as I'm sure our well-traveled friend, Mr. Fettinger, can tell you, it is a piece of New York City. Me, I've never traveled New York City. Never traveled anywhere at all. I live in the best state in the US of A. So why do I need to go anywhere else? But I did look it
the
up,
listeners.
and it's
state,
not really a city.
State is that again?
North Carolina. Everybody
love you
some
some North Carolina. All right.
North Carolina. That's right. Now, it's just a little neighborhood in the East Village of Manhattan. So do you know why it is called Alphabet City?
I don't know, but Chi-Town is in chat and says lame, Mark.
Avenue A, Avenue B.
JR got it right. Avenue A, Avenue B, Avenue C, Avenue D.
Okay.
Now,
If
you know why
you
that's
listen
important?
to the musical Rent, I think Avenue B is what's referred to in one of the songs. So
there you go. Look at that. Has absolutely no importance at all to the story. So let's get on. Randy is all sorts of mad at Peter because he's Spider-Man's friend. He thinks that Spidey has taken Janice to jail. But before things get so heated that the friendship is ruined, Tombstone drives up and tells Peter Parker to get in the car. Peter gives Randy a mysterious card and says, even more mysteriously, "Let my friend know where I am." Whoever could that friend be? Now, Tombstone and Peter Parker verbally spar, but then Tombstone lets Peter Parker know that the message he is sending Spidey is going to be Peter's bloody corpse. And then he proceeds to waste no time to beat Peter Parker to a bloody pulp, much to the driver's dismay as they're flying all around the place, legs going here, arms going there, shoes everywhere. Peter Parker does everything he can to avoid both dying and revealing his secret identity until his friend shows up, who just also happens to be his lawyer. And since his lawyer just happens to be She-Hulk, that is super advantageous. And she brought along with her a buddy, the mayor, who just happens to be Luke Cage, hero for hire, who's no longer for hire anymore because he is the mayor. And they get each a punch in. And by that point, Peter Parker has escaped and changed into our favorite wall crawler. And that's saying something because there's a lot of wall crawlers to choose from these days. And he arrives to deliver the final punch. Woo-wee, woo-wee, the police arrive with a warrant to arrest him. One more loose end taken care of.
Woo-wee.
Woo-wee.
Woo-wee, woo-wee.
At court, for some reason, the state prosecutor not only tips her hand early, but instead of just handing over the key witness transcripts, she presents the actual key witness to the defendant. Who could that be? Peter Parker? No. Randy Robinson? No. Aunt May? No. And why would you even think that? Because we haven't seen her for a long time. All right.
Very true.
It is none other than Janice Lincoln, Tombstone's very daughter.
Boom.
And it's so shocking to him that he turns into a really bad Muppet. Look at that. That is
A Muppet. A Muppet.
And that's when we book in this story with a callback from the opener. Tombstone's eyes look like a lion's.
Yeah, we bookended it. That's good. But the Muppet, that's great. That is not a flattering. That is not. What Muppet would that be? Like one of the old men in the balcony? I mean, Statler or Waldorf?
No. That would be like it would be a PBS knockoff Muppet or something.
It's a Moppet. It's a Moppet. Okay. What is your grade on that one, Mark?
I would say C+.
Did you like it better than the previous issue?
I like the story of it better, but the art was so bad in this issue to me. It really took me out of it. Randy looks like oddly disproportionate. The Tombstone head over there. It kept interfering with my enjoyment of the story. I think the story is better than the Shea one, but I love Ramita. Do you not like this? Do you not like this look? These looks? That's fine. I want to like Ramita mainly because I like his dad, and I want to support his son because I admire his dad so much. But Junior's never done it for me that much. He's usually not distracting though, but this was distracting to me.
Okay. I agree in the fact that some of the art was not the best out of Ramita. The Muppet shot especially was just not good. I agree. What'd you say was your grade, Mark? I missed it. What'd you say?
I think I said C+.
C+. Sarah, main story. What's your grade?
I gave it a B. I liked it better than the last issue for sure.
Josh?
B-.
JR?
I was going to say the head looked like a skinned potato, but anyway, I gave it a C.
A C, Mike?
B- also.
Christina?
I gave it a B+, the main story.
I give it a B because I liked it. I like the ground level street stuff. We've got history with Tombstone, and I like Peter not trying to reveal he's looking tough to Tombstone. I like him in the car and the rolling down the window reminded me of the Vulture, Michael Keaton in the car. Like, hey, kid.
Yeah.
I like that. I thought that was just cool. But Mark Prose, what'd you like about it?
I like how he structured it. He had the lion story at the beginning and the eyes like a lion at the end. And then all through the middle, he kept talking about loose ends. Like this was really what would end his, like, I'm going to tie it all up. So, I mean, I didn't think it was great writing, but I appreciate the effort on the tying all the little pieces together there.
I agree. And it felt like a longer story too. I like a bookend. I do like a theme throughout the writing, and he did bring that. Other pros, anyone else? Who do we got? Let's start with Mike.
Speaking of bookends, I do appreciate that he was calling back to his very first issue with the whole Peter Parker in the Tombstone car. Because if you notice, if you go back to the very first issue, it's once again Peter was wearing he's once again standing in the rain, wearing a baseball cap, going into Tombstone's limo where they have a little bit of a talk. Granted, the context is a little different, but it is a deliberate callback to once again tying into this issue, tying into the beat you over the head theme of this thing, which was tying up loose ends. So I do appreciate that there is some that Wells, and even in some cases Ramita, is consciously aware of we're going to be, but by doing those little echoes of like what happened in the first issue and how it contrasts where Peter Parker and Tombstone were back then versus where they are now. And so I think that from a structural standpoint, I think that was pretty good.
One thing I appreciate is that Peter isn't a sucker in this.
No,
he had a plan, which he often doesn't. And it shows him that he's not dumb. He's been doing this for a minute. So make our hero look dumb, which is what is a trope that often happens to Peter Parker. Josh, you got a pro that we might not mention?
Actually interested in it. Like it actually wanted to read the next issue that was coming next, and like that's huge for me. Of like, just do I actually want to read the next book? Yes, okay, that's going to get on a higher run. So yeah, I actually was entertained throughout, and I wanted to see what's coming next, what is going to happen, especially that one point very end where he's like, he looked like a lion. Like, oh, okay, yes, I'm in.
On, yeah. Christina, pro that we not said.
I do appreciate the fact that we got to see She-Hulk again, and that he's representing him and stuff with that, because there's a backup story in there.
Right. Oh, we lost your mic.
We tried to watch your mic.
I think you got muted when you hit it. Touched it. No.
Oh.
You're pulling a dark mark on me.
Yeah,
well,
I think
we'll come back to you, Christina. Sarah, pro out of you?
I really liked, and I know he's done this in previous issues, but Spider-Man messing up Tombstone's reputation, I guess, by when he's messing up their little plan with when they're selling the weapons, and he's like, "Oh yeah, tell the boss I said hi," like stuff like that. I think
that was.
I think that's great. I also liked the idea of Janice testifying against her father. I think that'll be very interesting to see what happens. And like Josh said, I'm very interested in reading the next issue.
All right, JR, what'd you like about this one? You liked it better than the last one, I bet.
Yeah, well, although I don't like to agree with you, Brad, the fact that Peter was shown to be an intelligent, strategic thinker, as someone who's been Spider-Man probably 15 to 20 years, I think he'd know a thing or two. But actually, the one I wouldn't say I really liked it, but it's the one I've always griped about other heroes coming into Spider-Man's book to save Spider-Man or help him out. But in this case, it makes sense because Spider-Man can't appear. It's Peter Parker. So having the other superheroes appear, and essentially, quote unquote, saving Peter Parker when Spider-Man can't appear until he does then at the very end, that makes sense. So I could nod something I've never liked, but I do appreciate when it makes sense.
And he planned that. It was Peter planning that ahead of time.
Absolutely. Let's see. Dark Mark, did we do cons yet? Mark, you there?
He's
okay. Have we lost Mark? That's a con that we lost.
I think he's shot. He looks shocked by Chi-Town's latest slam against him.
Right.
All right. Well, since it's his book, we have this story with the Kingpin on a date.
It's the Rhino on a date, actually.
Oh, sorry. Gosh,
yeah, it's okay.
Like they Kingpin, didn't it? My bad.
Yeah, it does kind of look like him.
Any thoughts on this one, gang?
Here's the thing. I do appreciate the fact that it's kind of like tying in, like, how it's basically the whole thing about how She-Hulk got to be Peter's lawyer, kind of thing, or quote unquote, or how they was tying into the first story. So I do appreciate that little callback. However, there is one aspect about this which kind of really bugs me. I don't know if you want to save that for when we get into cons about it.
No, go ahead. We're not going to do cons. We're just going to talk.
It's that whole thing with Ned Leeds. The whole Ned Leeds trial thing. It's like, well, because remember, it goes back early in the run where they try to make this big deal about how Ned Leeds was, he was framed and does all the Winkler device, and then it's like, it looks like he was, we're just gonna release him now. He's free because She-Hulk gave a very passionate speech. And it's like, and then all of a sudden Ned is mad at Peter because it's like, you were showing
Christina, I think you're back.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, there you are. The little mute button next to your name wasn't there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
But I was going to say, but that whole thing with Ned Leeds and the trials, it's like, we're just going to wrap that up. Even though it was like, it's been like how many issues since you had that plot in the way back then, and this is how you resolve it. And then Ned is like, once again, mad at Peter, like, because you showed up late for my, my verdict, my trial. How dare you? And it's like, and Betty's like, it's just like, wow, what a waste. It's like, wow, it just kind of showed once again, reminding you that because Wells had planned to end this issue with the goblin spider bit, which means he was not going to pick up on this. And then he's decided, oh, I better wrap this up and just end it. It's like, yeah, it was just kind of weak, I thought.
Real quick, Mark, your thoughts on the.
Well, I have an explanation for why he was upset.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I have an explanation here. What you got to remember is that Ned Leeds has been out of commission for a while, right? So he's been out of the game. He probably just found out about the whole Friday night Betty Brant, Peter Parker movie night that we that he hasn't had all this time. He's like, the whole time I've been gone, you know. Yeah, I'd be mad too.
That would,
I don't
that would
believe
be
it.
great. That would be great. He brought that up. Actually, that would have been awesome.
Funny.
It's like that would have been. That would have been. I would have appreciated that. That would have been great. Yeah. So.
That's funny. Any other thoughts on that one, JR? Any thoughts on Ned Leeds at all?
Well, one, I was wondering why he was so pissy. It didn't make any sense, but Dark Mark's explanation, I have to like that one. But I wanted to bring up something about the main story, because I don't know if anyone caught the irony of this, because when Tombstone asked, you mean you'd kill your own child, or no, you kill a child, Kingpin says, I'd kill my own if necessary. And then he says, but don't let my wife hear me talking about that. It was like, wait a minute. Wasn't it Vanessa that killed Richard Fisk? In regular continuity? And wasn't it the Kingpin that brought him back?
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if that was a deliberate, or I don't know if Wells was writing that without realizing, but it's just ironic that he said that, because ultimately it was Vanessa that killed Richard. So anyway, but this backup story, I didn't like it, because it's like, why is Ned so pissy? You know, and it's like, oh boy, I feel like we're back in Amazing Spider-Man number 30, you know? So.
Hey, Mark, take me through another story where it doesn't seem like people are acting like people.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Otherwise known,
all of our viewers now from this story.
Otherwise known as Chi-Town's Bane. Peter Parker. Certainly not on a Friday night, because he would have been with Betty Brant at this point, but on a different night, he's hanging out with Paul and MJ, and apparently he does this so much, he knows which is Paul's best cooked meal. And
wait, hold on.
Pages.
What the hell? What is that? What is that?
It's called being a simp, Brad. That's what that is.
It's being a simp.
Oh, jeez. Just so out of character. So just wrong, Mark. So wrong. Okay, go ahead.
All right, then we have lots of pages about Paul trying to do good to the doppelgangers of those in this dimension that his father hurt in a different dimension. The end.
Yeah.
F? Like, what the?
Yeah.
F?
Yeah.
So
there's nothing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Even the man
there's nothing about this that's redeemable. I mean, I don't feel more for Paul. And it irritates me that they're going to try to make us believe that Peter's hanging out with Paul and MJ.
And it's about his responsibilities.
So let me see if I understand this correctly here. So we all assumed that Paul had no idea that his father was a crazy person before this, but no, it turns out he did know he was crazy, but he was just exploiting him for profit. So how does that make him more likable? Especially with his little stupid little, I'm almost imitating Hitler mustache that he's got going on here with I mean, because we've seen bad looks. We thought the man bun was bad. That whole short haircut, little
coming and going, he's bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God. All right.
Actually, I want to jump my grade back up. I want to change it to an A, because I was maybe having a hard time.
A for asshole. All right, we got
Brad. Wait a minute. I want to add something on this story. I gave it a D. This goes back to me talking about how people don't act.
Absolutely.
If if my wife were with another man, or we were in a committed relationship, there is no effing way I would go to his apartment, talk about how good of a cook he is.
No,
absolutely not. It was like
hell no.
No, nobody. I mean, even Peter being the soft, kind of soft guy he is. No man would do this. No man would put up with this. No man would show up and say, "Oh, Paul's really a great guy." No.
Nope.
Also, they must just let him keep a backpack on their balcony because he just leaves his clothes there.
It also makes me wonder if this is supposed to be implying that if did MJ go to Paul and says, "Hey, let's invite my ex-fiance for dinner. What do you say?"
Even Paul wouldn't do that. I mean, come on. Come on.
All right. But apparently this makes him likable because he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, let's do that." It's like, so is it Peter or Paul who's a simp in this whole thruple here with going?
All right, now we got where's Craven or where's Waldo or whatever's going on.
Yeah. Spidey ruins Craven's Where's Waldo experience, and this is infinitely better than the previous backup story.
True.
Yeah.
And the art's better than the main story.
Then let's look about 950 issues real fast. And there you go.
They like these backup stories, they're all useless. Pages. They're always useless.
Oh,
but somehow they used to find
remember those issues.
A more useless way.
The Sidekick's Last Revenge.
I don't know. Yeah, that's why I zoomed in on. Yeah. Okay. Let me go to chat for what the grades are and the comments. Let's see. Why does Paul Rabin exist? Why won't he go away and go home? F this, F that. It's a D. It's an F, says Jeff. I bet you anything Paul serves that chicken chicken raw.
Ew.
Gary Peters having dinner with the love of his life and the man she left him for is an insult to the character. Tevia F. Walmart Ultimate Peter MJ. What does that mean? Ew. Poof emoji. Paul. Ew, Paul, WTF. You guys are really, really debating in chat here. And then a vomit emoji.
Yeah.
You guys, come on, talk. Wait, isn't Ned a clone? Isn't Ned a clone? I think he is.
Yes,
that's the thing. They never resolved that, did they?
I think he's a clone.
I thought he was.
Is that the clone's kid, though, or the original Ned's kid?
Well, because remember in the Spencer run, there was a clone that died, right? And then there was the other one that they found but then they're replying, was this a clone too? Yeah, it was.
Well, he claims he was dug up, right? He was still alive and he was dug up.
Yeah. But they're
okay.
I can't remember.
The Paul story is just so insulting. Again, out of character. This is 2 issues of human relationships that are out of character. Would we not agree with that?
That is very true.
Yeah.
I just am having a little problem with it. Okay, Mike, we were talking about I love John Romita's art. And I didn't like the Muppet. And I don't like the Muppet on the cover.
No, but give him credit.
This cover I don't dig, man.
I don't either. But to give him credit, at least it's something that's a scene that's actually in the issue.
Yeah.
So there is that.
There's something about his tombstone that's just off.
Oh yeah, it's true.
The size proportion or something's off about this. I don't get it.
Oh yeah, it's like there's some. It's almost like he's kind of like have to quickly do this or something. But
it looks like he ate a bee.
It's what?
Like stung on the face or something.
Yeah, well, Romita's having to do 2 full issues a month. I get it, but I don't know. Anyway, take me through this one, Mike.
All right, so we are opening in at Rikers Island, and which Tombstone is basically told, essentially, you got to, basically, he's told he's got a visitor, and he goes and goes to the little booth where he has the phone, and sure enough, it's Spider-Man. And already my suspension of disbelief is kind of being tested here, because One, he's Spider's and Spider-Man is in full costume, right? And but he also, in order to be here, he's had to sign the visitor log. So did he go through security? Did they have him take off his mask, go through a metal detector, or all this other stuff and everything?
Or maybe he just has a friend on the inside. Is what
could be, or he just says hopped in the ceiling and says, "I'm really Spider-Man." They go, "Okay, you can go right on in." In any case, so he's talking to Tombstone, and Tombstone's like, "Oh, so you're the one who convinced my daughter to turn evidence against me." And Spider-Man gloats and says, "Yeah, that was me. I got you right where I want you, and you're now behind bars, and there's nothing you can do about it." Well, Spider-Man apparently forgot he was in a comic book, and there's a revolving justice system in this thing, because the guard comes back to Tombstone and says, "Hey, you just made bail without a bail hearing. Congratulations, you're free now." And Spider-Man's like, "Oh, how did this happen?" And he punches and then he changes it out of costume, goes to like a courthouse or whatever it is, and he meets up with the woman who CBR, Screen Rant, and Bleeding Cool mistook for Michelle Gonzalez, even though this is not Michelle. This is a different Michelle who also happens to be a lawyer.
You mean in their reviews they called her Michelle Gonzalez?
Yes, they did. So,
oh hell.
So this is the other Michelle, who's the lawyer, and who's Tombstone's lawyer. And so Peter's like, goes to her and says, "How could you do this? How could you let Tombstone out of jail?"
Finger in the face.
Well, and she's like, "Well, I'm doing my job. And by the way, you being aggressive like this is actually a better turn on than you claiming that you called me up for a date and that you don't remember. That's because remember, that's what happened to him last time." And so he's saying, well, and he's again saying he's putting my friend in danger. She's like, "This is not a." He says, "Look, this is not a joke. I just did my job. Now get out of my face before I arrest you. Have you get arrested for intimidating counsel." And she walks off like the real Michelle Gonzalez probably will never be seen again. So
there you go. We have an explanation in chat how he got in. Permission from the mayor. There you go.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
We will go into Mary Cage.
Also, Sarah's mom says those phones never work in prison anyway. I'm like,
no.
Sarah, are you talking to a lot of people in prison? I don't think I've ever done it. So,
in any case, we then go back to Janice and packing her bags like really rapidly. And then Randy's like, "Well, what are you doing? Why are you packing?" He's like, Tombstone's not going to come after you. And she's like, "No, you idiot. He's going to come after you. I'm packing bags for both of us so we can get out of town." And so while she's doing that, we then go to the mayor's office where Mayor Cage and She-Hulk are there, and they're kind of saying, and they're both saying like, "Yeah, well, this is we just got to accept this thing, and even though because even though he tried to kill Peter, this is a very complicated case." And we do, and they're thinking, well, we know he's going to try to go after Janice, and they're like, and their way they're going to do that is they're going to go after Randy. We can't, of course, alert the police about this. Man, if only there was some Federal Bureau of Investigation with a witness protection program involved, we might be able to solve this problem, but apparently not. But so they decide to hatch out a plan. We will find out what the plan is, because first we go back to Tombstone, who goes back to Tombstone's crew, where you've got the White Rabbit and of course our the guy Kareem, and she's going to be getting orders from.
Who's this guy? Who's this guy?
Oh, I don't know. It's like some dude who just like
he's
looks
just
like
enjoying.
It's Doc Ock with a mustache, maybe.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's Doc Ock's brother.
He's just enjoying his drink. And then
this guy just showed up. He got lost. I don't know what this guy's doing right here.
Yeah, he's just like, it's like, where, and then you got
background
Digger,
goon
there.
number 2.
Yeah. Yep. And while they are, so she's talking to Tombstone. Tombstone's giving her the orders and says, "You're the one who is going to go after You're the one who's going to go after Janice." And saying like, and she's like, "Are you okay with that?" And she's, oh, even though she says she's my best friend, she says, "Okay, boss, I'll do that." And then she's keeping it, and we see she's keeping an eye on them, right? Now, okay. So we then go to see what Spider-Man's, Luke Cage, and She-Hulk's plan is action. It involves an ambulance where Spider-Man rides on top of it, and apparently they got And apparently, even though Vic says we can't really trust the cops because the cops might be on the payroll, well, it turns out that they're there because apparently, but in any case, Tombstone is aware of what's going on. So as part of his plan, he's got Digger underground, like underneath the subway, where he's holding up he's doing the Spider-Man like imitation of holding up a terrific weight. In this case, it's subway tracks, and White Rabbit's there. And as the ambulance, which supposedly has Randy and Janice in it, and take them away to wherever they need to go, it just so happens they're going on the same street where where the subway, where they're going right over the subway, and the subway train crashes through the street, disrupting the escort, and Digger pops out and attacks Spider-Man. Meanwhile, White Rabbit and the other members of the Sinister Syndicate ladies are going to the ambulance, and they're going to go in there and to go rip it and attack Janice. Only it turns out that Janice isn't actually there. It's She-Hulk in disguise. And then all of a sudden,
poor White Rabbit looks just, oh crap.
Yeah. But she's not scared of She-Hulk. She's scared because she realizes, oh my gosh, Tombstone knew about this plan, and he deliberately sent me here knowing that I wasn't going to, kill Janice, because Janice is still back at her apartment. Yeah. Because then the issue ends with Tombstone showing up, gun in hand, and saying, I wish I didn't have to do this. And that's where the issue ends.
Okay. What's your grade on that one, Mike?
This is actually a C.
Okay. Let's get the rest of the group. Josh, your grade?
Yeah, C.
JR?
If P. Diddy can't make bail, how could Tombstone?
Yeah, right? I was thinking
I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Then I give it a D. And actually, that was one of the reasons, because they didn't. Although I will give Wells credit, he didn't bother to have the lawyer come up with an explanation of how.
I need to move this plot along. Just let it happen. Let's move on. I'm off here till 60. I only signed a 5-6 issue extension. Come on. Mark, what's your grade on this one?
C-.
C-. Christina?
I'm the odd one out. I gave it a B.
All right. Mike, your grade. What did you say it was again?
I said it was a C.
Okay. And I'm with Christina. I didn't mind it. I liked it as a B. I liked the lion turning on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I still like that theme.
We'll get into that a little bit here. Okay. But first, I want to go into my pros here a little bit. I do appreciate the fact that they, once again, that the characters are like, at least the heroes in this thing are at least trying to come up with doing some intelligence and coming up with a plan that they're based. So you have that sort of that cat and mouse game going on here a little bit. And I do like the idea that it's kind of showing a little bit here the White Rabbit's kind of struggle here with this, because kind of like, because all through this whole run, she's trying to be like, oh, I'm going to be like the main lieutenant and everything. But then you kind of realize, but then she's like, well, now you are basically being shown like, oh no, I've got to go after my best friend here. And so there's a little bit of a humanity there with her.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate the fact that she's got that there. And I do think, and that's pretty, so yeah, I do think it's a little bit there here that there is a little, and I don't actually mind the art the art in the previous issue wasn't that great. Here, at least Ramita tries a little bit more, especially with that whole subway crash scene.
Yeah.
That splash page thing going on. So kudos to him on that. So there we go.
Let's see. That was a pro. JR, what's your pro?
I'm actually kind of partial to seeing Digger again. I'm starting to like Digger because he's a street level villain, but he's still a grotesque villain, a la Dick Tracy or Batman villain. Mm-hmm. So I think he kind of makes a cool Spider-Man villain for those reasons. He's street level, but he's still grotesque. But that would be. I'm trying to think if he. No, that's the only one.
Sarah's back. What's your grade on this one, Sarah?
My grade on 951 is B. A B.
Okay. Pros? You got any pros, Sarah?
I do. I don't know what was said, but I'm very interested to see what was next. What happens next in the next issue, and if Tombstone is really going to hurt or kill his own daughter, because that's what it looks like.
Yep. It does what a good comic is supposed to do. Makes you want to spend another $5. Or 60 cents or whatever we started with. Mark, no pros out of you?
I was saying no, it doesn't make me want to spend another $5.
Oh, you don't care if he kills his own daughter, huh?
My pro is this is a street level story, which is where Spider-Man should be.
Josh, pro?
I liked the part where she goes, "Oh my gosh, he knew I couldn't do it, so she's not safe." Like there's just, she's like, "Oh, he does not have that much faith in me. He knew I was going to fail."
He knows she's a C-list villain.
Yeah.
He's trying to be an A.
He's trying to be an S, but no, she's still that.
I saw that Marvel team up with you and the Frogman. You're not an A-list villain.
Nope. Now you know what being an A-list villain actually means, and you realize that. Oh,
would you guys put Tombstone up there as an A-list villain?
He's pretty. I mean, he's more of a B. He's more of a top tier B in my book.
I don't think
compared to the others, compared to Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Venom, and some of those other guys. But yeah, he's pretty up there at this point.
He's not better than Kingpin. He's not better than Goblin.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
I think he's Shocker level.
Well, he's a little bit higher level than Shocker.
He's higher than that.
Yeah.
Electro is A. Shocker's B, in my opinion. But anyway. JR, where do you put Tombstone? In the ground. No, I'm just kidding. What do you
I'm dead.
That's what I meant. He's in the ground, Josh. JR? Muted, sir.
JR, muted.
You were muted.
We need to do more of these podcasts. You guys are learning technology, or you're regressing. I don't.
For some reason, I couldn't mute until I shrunk the.
Excuse me?
No, Spider-Man.
Never mind. Keep going.
I was about to say, man, my age bringing up shrinkage is kind of. Anyway, now Spider-Man only has 3 A-list villains: Norman Osborn, Doc Ock, and Venom was one until recently. But Tombstone, I've never liked Tombstone. To me, the B villains are Ditko villains and the Kingpin. Tombstone's down around the C's.
I forget where we are. Did we go to cons yet? Have
Not
we heard
yet.
Everybody's pros. Christina, did I hear your pros?
Pretty much. Rabbit's hesitance to kill Janice, and basically what Mike said with her humanity showing, and then I like me my She-Hulk popping up. So,
Mike, you ready for cons?
Yes, we are.
All right, let's.
And this might be it's more of a kind of like a structural thing, I think, of this, because the thing about the thing about this is the whole, now granted, the characters in this thing, when you're reading a story, we as readers are going to know more than what the character's saying. So all the good guys assume that Tombstone is going to go after Janice because by going after Randy, right? But we, the readers, already know that Tombstone is actually going to personally kill Janice. Why? Because the last issue told us that was what was going to happen.
True.
Now, granted, while that whole Serengeti, that because of the whole prologue from the previous issue, kind of gave the game away. I mean, it was it was heavily foreshadowed that it would basically that Tombstone was going to have to make a decision where he was going to have to kill his own. And then, of course, it gets telegraphed even further at the end of that previous issue where his eyes look like a lion. So we already know going into this issue, he's going to kill Janice. And he's going to do it personally.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing that they study in film appreciation about how Hitchcock, it's more stressful when the two characters have no clue that there's a bomb under the table where they're eating dinner. So it's a common trope that they use
Right. And that is a fair point. But the problem here is that the risk that you doing that is that because even though the character that there's a risk of that, the fact that the characters don't know that, right? You're correct. But when you're reading this, we already know what's going to happen. But the way this issue was built, it makes it seem like, oh, the last page is a big surprise and shock when it really isn't. If that makes
it's a big shock to White Rabbit and not the readers.
Yes,
I mean, I see what you're saying. I got you.
Yeah, the more the surprise it comes from the fact that it's not Janice in the ambulance, but it's actually She-Hulk or anything. But the way they're trying to the way Zelba's trying to write this, it's almost like he's trying to write this as if we didn't read the previous issue in a way, in a sense. So I think in a way you're right. In the sense that it's kind of it's an attempt at a Hitchcock thing that, oh, we know there's a ticking bomb there, but the others don't. And so the suspense but in a sense here that I think Wells kind of gave the game away a little bit too much. So the suspense that would have ordinarily been generated isn't there. And so now, granted, whether or not he's actually going to go through with killing Janice in the next issue or that's a whole other thing. I'm just saying in this particular issue, it's like you already knew what was coming. So
what do you think? Do we pull the rug under and do we kill a long-standing supporting character and it makes it Randy? Are we going to kill Randy and that makes Spider-Man have? I don't know.
I don't think so, but I mean,
Randy's been in the hospital a couple times. That's kind of
I mean, if they were going to kill Randy, they would have done it back in during Gang War.
Maybe they'll kill Paul and we'll all cheer.
They'll kill Paul.
Maybe Paul comes in and tries to help Janice.
If only.
If only.
Just shows up. He gets hit by a stray bullet.
He hits him with one of his chicken recipes or something. What the clock? All right. Cons around the horn. I got one thing I want to hit before we wrap this up. Any other cons have not been said? Feel free.
Anyway. Have you ever watched a movie where you think it comes to an end, but then it goes on for another half hour? You know,
Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit.
Well, I was thinking of the Batman with Robert Pattinson or whatever. It's
God!
Oh yeah,
it's like they catch the Riddler. That feels like it's the end of the movie, but it keeps going. This is. I just feel like the story was over. I mean, the Tombstone story or the arc, I just felt it was over, and this is just kind of limping along. I just don't see it having much. I mean, that's just kind of the way I feel about it. So,
real quick, Mike, we in the back of your issue is a letter that I would like to discuss a little bit. It's on the letters pages. It's a man from the name of Nick from New Zealand. I'll read it real quick. It says, "Hi, Nick and Zeb Wells." Nick Lowe, the editor. With the release of issue 53, I feel that this arc is a perfect microcosm, a pure distillation of the problems with the creative direction and ideology behind Spider-Man since 2008. Peter was just turned evil for the third time in less than a year. The second time in only 4 issues, and all I'm left wondering is, haven't I already read this before? This arc, hell, the whole run by Zeb, feels like we've been going round and round in circles, and that feeling extends to nearly 500 issues prior to this moment as well. Nothing's really changed in Peter Parker's life, and all that time, he's still as much of a broke loser who keeps pushing away the people around him as much as he was immediately following one more day. All the while, everyone else in Marvel gets to grow and change. Hell, even Venom is a responsible father now. Why isn't Peter allowed to see any developments on his own like he has done for decades between 1962 and 2007? I speak for many millions of fans of Spider-Man when I say I'm disappointed with this creative direction, and it's why I'm so supremely happy with the new Ultimate Spider-Man book. It feels like a continuation of Stan Stephen John's ideals for the character and his growth. I really hope things will change soon, and so many do others. So Nick Lowe replies, "Hello, Nick, and thanks for writing in. Sorry ASM hasn't been doing it for you. As for the Peter turning evil, it was all part of an ongoing story thread we were working on that only seemed to end in ASM 35. If it didn't work for you, that's a bummer. It worked for us and a lot of fans. Let me just keep reading. As to your bigger question, would Stan, Steve, and John want Peter's life to develop? I'm not so sure, and I can't speak for them. I certainly don't think they had a definite plan for such developments, and they had no way of knowing this book would last decades past their time on the book, I've come to think that Spider-Man growing, aging, and developing his life along with the reader and Amazing Spider-Man isn't the way to go. I believe that Spider-Man belongs to all fans and generations and should mostly be universally relatable as possible and never have any development. Oh, wait, hold on. I added. Why just mostly? Well, we should still do stories like Superior Spider-Man, Worldwide, please don't, Beyond, please don't, that drastically changed Spidey, but then come home to the core of Spider-Man. That said, we at Marvel contain multitudes and have offered many stories of Spider-Man growing and aging beyond his archetypal core, if that's more your thing. But by God, you'll never see it in Amazing. I do think it's bold to claim that your view is one representing multiple millions of fans of viewpoints on how Amazing should work as a comic with no way to prove it. But you do, regardless. I'm really glad you're enjoying Ultimate Spider-Man. I love that book too. Jonathan, Marco, and co are so good. I would like everyone's thoughts on Nick Lowe saying, by God, he's not moving from 2007. He's stuck here.
So here's the thing. What Nick Lowe is saying in that letter I mentioned this on our Discord. It reminded me a lot of what Joe Quesada was saying back in 2008 when One More Day first happened. Mm-hmm. Now, you can argue all this stuff like, oh, well, because maybe about all the stuff about if you cut through all of the minutia about all the reasons for why Spider-Man wasn't supposed to have been married at that time, the main reason came down to this. It was because it was was about branding. Because the way the Quesada saw the Spider-Man IP was that Spider-Man should always be a character, and we even discussed this. We saw this about when we first issue at the top of this podcast. That Spider-Man should always be a character whose life keeps getting in the way, especially when it comes to dating and relationships. And Quesada felt that if Spider-Man was in a married situation, that it would keep interfering. That's the Spider-Man that he wants to have. It's also no coincidence that he was also opposed to Superman and Lois being married, because he came from DC as well, and the same guys that were opposed to that were also opposed to the Spider-Man marriage. So it's also the other thing too is that Quesada sees Spider-Man as their flagship guy. And he kind of feels like this flagship person always has to be stuck in has that same thing. And I also would argue too is, let's not forget that there is also that Marvel doesn't really have full control over Spider-Man. Sony does. Sony has partially, they share an IP here when it comes especially to the movies and stuff. And so when you see that, so the thing is, Marvel Comics division, they can't be really in a position where, well, at least in their logic is, well, we can't really promote, well, we can promote Spider-Man because he's popular, but we can't alter him too much like we can with the characters that we have full control over. Because if we do that, because we don't really want, which is why you keep seeing this like a constant, Spider-Verse all the time, or we keep going the same tropes over and over again with Amazing Spider-Man. Because if we highlight it too much, then that gives more attention to him, and we still have so Sony still partially owns him, and so it's a lot of it is what Nick Lowe is describing here is. Between the lines here is it's all more about IP. It's less about what the characters is about, but it's more about this is how we envision Spider-Man as an intellectual property versus a storytelling thing. That's why I think when we see a lot of these, why it seems like, especially in this run, why a lot of it seems like it's kind of it's very like, it feels like we've seen this before, or it's kind of because we have. It's because it's kind of because again, it's a lot of the greatest hits thing that Will's in, because partly he's not really in position to evolve the character.
Real quick, if you haven't read Dark Mark's review on the front page, he addresses this with a great graphic where he talks about how Stan and Steve and John Romita, I don't know if they would really want things to move along. And look, I love this. Stan and Steve had him graduate high school.
Yeah.
Right.
Stan and Steve, well, Steve and John had him graduate college until he forgot that college course in gym. Stan was all about the wedding.
Yep.
All about the wedding.
Yeah.
Stan knew very much about Mary Jane getting pregnant. Right, Mark? Talk about this. I love that you added this to your review on the main page on the site.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the letter he said, and I understand where they can't move Peter. There's too much money involved with this IP, but the letter though is so demeaning towards this guy.
It is.
It starts off fine, and then it just takes that turn, and he gets nasty. And for him to sit there and say, we have no way of knowing what Stan and Steve wanted. Well, it comes down to two things. One, we do know what they wanted because they made it clear. Yeah, they slowed the timeline down, but they still progressed. And two, who cares what they wanted? They're not here anymore. We go forward with the character as is now. We don't, it's just that if he wants it to stay this way, then just have the balls to say, this is my vision and I'm editor.
Absolutely.
Not
the
this.
The line that when I read it took me because I remember talking to Tom DeFalco about this, and he wrote the letters pages and the comments back to the readers, and you have to just let them vent. You don't want to alienate a potential viewer for a book that's selling under 100,000. First of all, the line in there that gets me, if it didn't work for you, well, no, where is it?
The millions of readers.
No,
thing?
it's like if it didn't work for you, that's a bummer. It worked. If it didn't work for you, that's a bummer. It worked for us and a lot of fans.
Yeah.
Now wait a minute. Now where's your? I guess his proof is people buy this.
Right.
But I bought it and I don't agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
And how can he prove that? I guess I don't know. It just seemed very condescending, Mark. Like I thought you said. I agreed. And it makes me wish, I think it's time for Nick Lowe, and we've said this, I think we need new blood. We need a new editor. We're getting a new writer after this Dr. Doom, What If I Got 8 Lives on a Video Game storyline coming up next.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's condescending.
But Brad, but you're saying basically you need a new editor, writer, and stuff like agreed. But the thing is, what I think we all agree on here, can agree on is this is not just the Spider-Man office. This is Marvel from the top down in the comics division, because the way they see it,
all the way
they
from
see Spider-Man as kind of like the Mickey Mouse of the Marvel universe. In other words, Mickey Mouse doesn't really change. I mean, you don't see Mickey Mouse changing all the time or anything like this. So the way they're looking at it is that Spider-Man, because he's kind of the face of Marvel, therefore we can't develop him too much, or therefore, because again, as Dark Mark wisely proved, and it's like, yeah, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko were all about developing Spider-Man. But once Spider-Man started becoming popular, and especially what triggered for them, these guys, once the marriage happened, all of a sudden it's like, oh no, Spider-Man's too old. We can't have that. We got to keep him the same way that he was when we first read about him, and just go from there. So again,
Mike and I have been talking a lot. Josh, what do you want to say, man?
Yeah. I'm excited for the fact that Tom Holland's going to age, because
absolutely.
The MCU has such a stronghold on all these characters now. It's the reason why Sam Wilson as Captain America is now pushed in cartoons and stuff more, is because that's what he is in the MCU now. He's Captain America. And the more that something happens in the MCU, the more it has the brand synergy, all that stuff there. At some point, Tom Holland will be 55 years old. And granted, I'll probably be around 55 and JR will be not with us anymore. But like if that's what it takes, like, okay, eventually it has to happen. Otherwise, at that point we might just use AI CGI to keep movies going. Well, but
in 2062, he's public domain. So let's, JR, how old are you going to be in 2062? Can we write this together? Can we read together?
I think it's a pretty good bet that the only Fediger you'll be talking to in 2062 is Spencer.
But JR is immortal, says LOL. Hi, Pop.
That's right. I'll be like Norman Osborn and have my brain anagrammed or analogued or whatever, and downloaded into my son, just like is happening in Ultimate Spider-Man. So,
any thoughts on? Do you find that comment condescending to the writer, JR? Or what's your thoughts on the reply to the letter?
Well, first of all, this is the mentality of the comic industry, both DC and Marvel, mostly Marvel, and entertainment. Disney, for example, is F the fans. So this is deeply embedded in this culture. Is we don't care what the fan wants, so that and so if you get a new writer or a new editor, whoever comes in is going to feel the same way and think the same way. Marvel's only going to hire someone who thinks the way that they do. And so we're not going to get anything different. But yeah, that's how they felt. Because I mean, Quesada has, he made it clear that he felt that Spider-Man wasn't quote unquote a character as much as he was an IP. Although I think it's funny that they think that we don't know what Stan and Steve would have wanted. Well, Steve wanted him to be more like Ayn Rand. But if I thought Stan gave an interview where he said that he set up Gwen as the girl Peter was going to marry, but Mary Jane got in the way because Mary Jane was just a more interesting character. So, I mean, I think Stan really did say that he set up Gwen as the girl Peter was going to marry. So long term, he was thinking that eventually this character will get married. So, again, what do you expect from any of these people? They're all disingenuous. They're all two-faced. They all despise the fans. And they are determined. And I've heard that multiple people, I heard that I saw one YouTuber say that there have been multiple propositions to Marvel to bring back the Spider marriage, but they have decided that is the hill they are going to die on.
Yeah.
So it's
until
what
you get.
What do you expect? I mean,
until you get the creative teams of, like we did with the second generation of Marvel creators that came in, that were fans and read the original stuff. Until you get the people in the 30s, Josh's age, for example, that come in and start writing the comics. But you got to get the top dogs out of there that have a mentality that this is the wrong thing to do to the character. You got to have the fans that grew up with the marriage. You got to have the fans that grew up with Peter Parker can grow and get older, I think. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen, honestly, at this point. Hey, a couple things I want to show you before we wrap this show up. Marvel sent over previews for the next issue that comes out this coming Wednesday. I want to show it to you. I haven't had time to put it up on the site yet, but here's the cover. It looks like he's holding his heart, or should that be a cell phone? I don't know. This is 952. Here's some images. Dad, no! And so he pulls the cartridge out. Are you not really gonna? I never wanted to see this side of me, but you didn't leave me a choice. So he starts shooting at his daughter. Stop it, Dad! Stop it! I'm sorry. And then we cut to the She-Hulk, and there you go. Not a single picture of Spider-Man in that preview, except the cover. But that's the issues coming out next Wednesday. So head to your local comic shop. And he's loading the gun. I'm sorry.
He's loading the gun. Yeah.
He's loading the gun. I thought it was falling out. He is loading the gun to shoot his daughter. Okay, got it.
Although it looks like he's a very terrible shot.
He is. He's like a stormtrooper. He can't get anything connected. But yeah. Anyway, there you go.
I'm rooting for Tombstone. Sometimes you have to.
I'll put that up on the Crawlspace.
Kill your kids there.
Pretty soon you can see those. We've got also some previews. Also, Muhammad does a great job every week with the solicits and the variants coming out. So check those out. Also, if you want to hear us talk about 39, I think, books. No, take 3 away. Okay, it's 36 books. We're going to do Patreon members are going to get double their money this month because we've got 2 Spider Satellites. We're going to review the Miles Morales book. We've got Ultimate Spider-Man back. We've got Spider-Man, JR's favorite, Spider-Man Reign, the sequel. We've got Spider Society. We've got this was great, Avengers versus Aliens. I dug the heck out of that. I don't know if you guys dug it, but I thought that was great. I hated Chasm, Curse of Cain. That was a turd. God dang! It even has internals in it. Jesus.
Oh,
yeah.
God, it's got internals. It's got the Mole Man. It's got everything I hate. Throw Arcade and Mojo in there, and it'll just be a turd fest of clones and crap.
And you gave it to me, Brad.
God, yeah, because I love you, Sarah. No. We got Spider, Ghost Spider. We got Spider Boy. Jesus, sorry, Josh. Wait, there's more.
Venom.
We're going to review, it's going to be Venom Satellites also. Poor Tyler is going to review all these books. Marvel is throwing it up against the wall, and we're reviewing it for the love of God. Why? It's for our Patreon members. We got Venom, the regular series. It looks like Cable, a.k.a. Eddie Brock's kid, comes back from time and tries to take out Spider-Man and Molten Man for some damn reason. David Michelinie's back with Separation Anxiety, Venomverse. Sarah, you excited for a Dino bot, symbiote, whatever?
I haven't read it, but that sounds cool.
Yeah, we got Venom War. He's riding a horse. We got Carnage in there. We got Spider-Man. He suddenly gets the black suit again. The original symbiote's on Spidey again, and he says, "Hey, jackpot, that chicken dish was great. Let's go swinging, baby." And then I love it when Paul cooks a good meal for us to swing with. And then, hey, Black Widow wants to get into the action. She's got a symbiote. Then, hey, let's throw some more shit on the can on the Barbie. we got symbiotes with zombies. Why the hell not? And then Wolverine says, "Hey, I just got out of a great movie. Let's go into this turd fest called Venom War." We also got Deadpool, Venom War. What other podcast reviews 36 books in one night? It's worth your money. Sign up at patreon.com/crawlspace. Any thoughts on all these books? JR, is there anything in these 36 books that you say, my God, Brad, why did I miss out?
I would get more use out of a roll of Charmin than I would any of these.
Oh, wow.
Very nice.
You mean to tell me that Spider-Man toilet paper I got over my shoulder, you would like that better than this? Okay, I got you.
Hey, that's a good story on that side.
It is a good story. It's not shit like what we're about to read tonight. Final thoughts to my friend Sarah. What do we got? Final thoughts.
See, now I'm like jaded because you talked about all the books we're about to talk about, so I'm like, ugh. But as far as ASM. I'm loving the Tombstone stuff. We'll see what happens.
All right, Mike, final thoughts.
I do appreciate again that, we are going to a street level Spider-Man. I just kind of wish it was a little bit better quality, a little bit. I mean, it's kind of like, again, this is Zeb Wells is kind of like, if this is Zeb Wells' last hurrah, it's kind of going out with a, to quote, TSL, it's going out now with a bang, but with a whimper. Or is it so. But but we'll see.
All right. Christina, final thoughts.
I am excited to see where this is going to go with Tombstone, and yet being street level makes it more interesting and stuff. And then we'll see what happens on satellites and stuff. So,
yeah, no doubt. All right, Mark, I'm glad you joined us. I've missed your commentary, sir.
You didn't miss my internet issues. I know that much.
I have not.
It hasn't been this bad in a long time. I don't know what happened tonight, other than
JR. He has that effect on internet and women.
Ooh.
Turn it off.
Dang.
Sorry. I couldn't resist it. All right, I'll end with JR. Josh, final thoughts.
I was having a good day. My parties that I did today went great.
Yeah.
And then I got home and reviewed the books I had to read tonight. And it was Spider-Boy 10, Spider-Boy 11. And because You wanted to screw me over more. Spider-Boy Annual.
Oh.
Did JR loan you his copies by chance? I don't know. And final thoughts, JR. What would you like to say? We've missed you for a couple months.
Brewhammer is now on my list.
That's George. Duh. Brewhammer, aka George, says JR is looking more like Palpatine. Somehow, Edinger has returned. Welcome, George. It's good to be on the list with you. Also, we had another comment, JR, to you about you and me doing history. There, Gary and the Frozen. I say probably October. I'm kind of done for September. I think JR and I'll hit Spider History. We were going to do it last month, and life happened, and then life happened to me in September. So October will probably end the year with 3 of them in a row with this Marvel Knights Spider-Man. So that sound okay, JR? October?
Yeah, that sounds fine. In fact, with October, I mean, they like to bring in the past, they've liked to bring the Green Goblin back for Halloween. So since that's a Green Goblin driven story, it makes perfect sense to go ahead and do that in October. So.
No, George, we knew it was you. Hey, if you want more George, he's coming up next on Spider Satellites. To my friends watching, to my friends on the panel here, it's been a pleasure, and we will do it all again real soon.